Hey everybody, welcome to Live at 5 here at Island Music Company. Let me set this down here. I'm going rogue today. I got me a wireless keyboard controlling the whole stream from here. That's just for now. We're going to be moving some things around, not retail-wise, but kind of just like office space admin-wise around the shop. And by doing so, we're going to have a more designated space for live streams and photography and just digital content. So we're not sharing the space as often with things like Rock Band Camp and just different demos. So this is going to look a little different in the next month or so, and I'm excited for that. And we'll just see where things go and continue to progress. I'm going to adjust my microphone here after I put this down, but I'm very excited to get into some of the stuff we got today, arranging everything from special acoustic to limited edition bass to a relaunch of a familiar pedal brand. I say relaunch and familiar, but to people my age and younger, we've never heard of this brand before. I've heard of it in passing. I've seen little used ones here and there, but now they're back out in modern day manufacturing and modern day marketing. And we'll get into those in a second. If you keep in touch with the music industry and just new releases and the whole species of the industry that is the pedal world, you already know what I'm talking about. So let me set this down and we'll get right into it. All right, so the first pedal I have in my hand here, which you can't even tell because the mic stand's doing a great job guarding it. This comes from JHS. And one of my favorite things about JHS is they have this line of utility pedals that are phenomenal. They have an amp summing pedal. They have something called a little black box, which is like a little attenuator that you can run through the effects loop of your amp. So if you really want to get the big tone, but you can't use the volume, so then you lose tone, that helps you do that. They have an AVY switch. They have a little red remote button that you can use to plug into things like the double barrel. They've got all kinds of stuff. And so I'm a big fan of utility pedals. If you're not familiar with what I mean by when I say utility pedals, think of like your tuner is a utility pedal. An AB switch is a utility pedal. A foot switch is a utility pedal. I consider things like compression to be utility as well. Some people would consider it boost, but I consider it to be part of the utility family. Electro-Harmonix makes a pedal called the Swiss Things, and it's a pedal board reconciler. And what that does is it has a specific output for your tuner. It has a specific plug and jack for your volume pedal. It has two signal paths that you cycle back and forth for your wet signal and your dry signal. And what this does is the reconciler allows you to get the most out of all your pedals. So like where I personally, my volume pedal is in the very middle of my board. It goes right after all of my drive effects because my volume pedal has a phenomenal buffer built into it. And what that buffer does is it allows my signal to stay consistent all the way through. So when your drive pedals have volume and gain control and level and tone and all those options there, those in effect can take your signal and lower them, because also in the front of your system you probably also have your compressor. That compressor along with your drives going into your volume pedal, you're losing some tone. You're going to lose some signal because unless you're gain staging more or less with all your pedals, you're stacking drives, you're doing all this, you're doing all that. Having a volume pedal in the middle gives you a little bit of that lift, that cleanliness, that balance of tone that comes from a buffer. Other great options for buffers are if you ever see someone's volume pedal at the end of their chain, that's a great option for that as well, because then it gives you one last buffered signal cleanup at the very end of your chain. Some people will put their tuner with their out of the volume pedal because most volume pedals have an out. There's all kinds of options. Buffers is a phenomenal thing to get into if you are a pedal nerd like myself. There's just all kinds of cool ways and options for it. But when it comes to pedal nerds, I'd say there's nothing more nerdy than when it comes to the occult following of JHS. And it's hard to say that without laughing, because not every Tuesday, but on most Tuesdays, I think every Tuesday, there's the JHS show where Josh Scott, I believe is his name, goes through all kinds of stuff, revamps old pedals, brings in new things, just all kinds of stuff. You go to their YouTube page, and there's videos where let's explain buffering, let's explain what compression is. They partnered with Electro Harmonix, and they did the Lizard Queen pedal for more recent stuff, if you're not familiar. Well, back in April, JHS launched a pedal called the Bat Sim, which was the battery simulator. And it took the internet by storm. People freaked out because the idea behind this pedal was, much like the Bonsai or the Muffletta or the Rat Pack, the Pack Rat, one of the names, much like those pedals, this pedal was designed to have a circuit knob which would cycle between the different tones that came from different 9-volt batteries, saying that a Radio Shack battery was different from a Duracell battery, was different from an Energizer, was different from the Electro Harmonix 9 volts. You know, the ones with Mike Matthews with his big cigar in the front. All that stuff. Well, it was all a hoax. None of it was real. And the world fell apart for it, and it was pretty fun to watch. I have a shirt that says "Do you believe in magic?" and it has like the picture of the pedal on it. It's pretty funny. It was great because we had at least 1 or 2 customers contact us like, I need that pedal. You saw used batteries being listed on Reverb for $300. I've never spent $300 in a Radio Shack. I definitely wasn't going to spend $300 for a used Radio Shack 9 volt. But on the topic of batteries, JHS still has you covered. This is the Vulture. The Vulture is a very unique pedal. It is a voltage saturation pedal is a good way to put it. What the Vulture does is, if you notice on the back here, let me move closer for this real quick. Sorry, if I go backwards trying to figure things out, there's like a mirrored monitor on the floor, and I'm not great at deciphering the directions yet. So don't ask me to back up a trailer. Anyways, the Vulture. So if you remember like Boss tuning pedals or like the old Boss power pedal supply that had it in and out for 9 volts, in and out, both sides. This is that same concept. However, this goes in between the pedal of your choice and its power supply. So you notice there's no 1/4 inch ins or outs. It does not run into your signal chain for audio, but it does run into your signal chain for power. And what you're going to do with this is you take your power supply, whether it's from your wall plug, whether it's from your brick, whatever it is, whether you're running a power out from a tuner, because you can still, most tuning pedals still have an output so you can chain pedals. This here goes in between. The most popular way to use this pedal is with fuzz pedals, because back in like the 70s and the 80s, fuzz circuits were primarily popular when you were using a dying battery. It gave it more breakup. It allowed more saturation to get into the tone to kind of to fuzz it up, essentially. Just like an extra level of that fuzz was added onto it. So what you do with this is it goes in between your power circuit and the pedal. Usually a fuzz. And what you can do here is with this knob, full power, basically dead, and then anywhere in the middle. This is a really cool pedal. They come in at a great price, under $100. I've got a fuzz pedal back here that I would love to show you, but right now the way we're set up, demos aren't super easy to do. But once we get this new setup and rig running, we're going to be able to do demos and do all this other kind of stuff. I'm excited for it. Maybe bring in some guests. Who knows? I've got all kinds of plans in mind. I want to keep going. So keep in mind, I think Saturday I'm going to post a video online, like a reel on Instagram or something, of me running this pedal with our fuzz pedal back here that I want to show you. And so I can show you kind of both hands of what we're going to talk about. JHS Vulture. Pretty awesome. All right. Before, I want to say some weeks ago, maybe a little over a month now, I talked about the Music Man Dark Ray. The Dark Ray bass is a phenomenal partnership between Music Man, collaboration, there we go, between Music Man and Dark Glass Electronics. What it does is you have the original tone that the bass makes, but then you also have a drive circuit that's featured from Dark Glass Electronics. When it's on the blue because there's an LED light on the tone toggle switch. You just flip it back and forth, and I'll show you here in a second. But when you toggle it back and forth, no light, just pure Music Man preamp. The blue light, you're on the alpha, and when you're on the red light, you're on the omega. I'm also going to use this, do a video of this coming up soon. I'm going to start doing weekly videos after the live stream so we can start seeing things. So I'm going to grab this bass for you because this is from the Music Man Ball Family Reserve. The BFR is more commonly known. It's phenomenal. This is amazing. It's got a Corina body, classic maple style neck that we're all familiar with from the Music Man. It comes in the Music Man branded mono case, so it's phenomenal. I'm going to pull it down real quick. I'll put it towards the camera, show it off to you a little bit. Check it out. Look at this thing. I love Music Man, and I love the dark gray, but I'm not real big on flashy finishes when it comes to guitars. I have a handful of guitars, and aside from an anniversary Gretsch that's like platinum, everything else is like black, sunburst, maybe dark red. So like sparkled finishes and things like that, I'm not real crazy about. However, this matches kind of where I'm at because I also love acoustic guitars. So this kind of natural finish things kind of like do well for me because it blends both worlds. So I'm gonna put it up to the camera so we can get a better look. Looking at the back on this, I can see that it has the 18-volt preamp because it has the two 9-volt battery pockets. When you notice I was tapping here, I'm showing you the LED ring that goes around the option there. I have a cable behind me. I'm just going to plug it into this amp back here. Again, we don't have a way to really play it well because this microphone's not going to pick it up, and we're not set up that way yet. So I just want to show you how that lights up. So give me 1 second here. Let's get that plugged in. All right, sorry, my cable got caught up behind me. All right, so right now I'm just on the regular Music Man preamp. You can see we're cycling around here. And that tells you which color you're on so you know where you're at. Pretty simple, easy to use, and it sounds great. Like I said, I'm going to try and get a video. If not of this one specifically, because the Ball Family Reserve guitars and they go pretty quick, I'll plug in one of the other dark grays so you can get the idea of how that goes. And like any guitar, bass, acoustic, whatever it is with active electronics, remember to unplug it when you're done so you don't drain your battery. All right, next. This one's really cool. This was a special project that we got worked out with Taylor Guitars. For those of you who aren't aware, this year, 2023, is Island Music's 15th anniversary. It's pretty phenomenal. We're excited for it. So we've been working with a few companies to get some special stuff made for you guys, the customer, who have been so you've been amazing to us. We're grateful for the business for over all these years, new and old customers, new faces, familiar faces, whether you've been here 2 weeks, 2 years, 12 years, 15 years. We are very thankful and grateful for all the time you've spent here in the shop with us, for the amount of everything, whether it's the amount of guitars you purchased, or even if you just came in and bought one guitar. We're very thankful for it. It means a lot to us. We wouldn't be here at 15 years if it wasn't for the continued support and really the fans that you guys are of our shop. So thank you for that. And And thanks for that. Like I said, we've been working on some special gear with some different companies. So the first one that we have here that I'm going to show you is from Taylor Guitars. Now I've got these bright lights kind of up here to light this area up, so the guitar is going to get kind of washed out a little bit. So I'm going to move in closer to when we start. After I describe it, I'll move it in so you can get a good look at it. But right now you can kind of see just what we're working with here, just from me holding it. This is a Grand Auditorium custom from Taylor Guitars. It is an old growth walnut top, back, and sides, so the whole body. It has a maple binding around the sides, abalone, inlay, and rosette. It is a tropical mahogany neck. Comes with the ideal Taylor hard case. And then up here on the truss rod cover, and I'll try to zoom in on the camera and get a good shot of it. We have special 15th anniversary truss rod covers made from Taylor to go with the guitar. So I'll bring it up close so you can get a good look at it. These are gorgeous guitars. They sound phenomenal. The figure pattern and the grain, everything on these, they blow me away. And so I'm very excited to have these. I think we had 6 or 7 at the start. We might only have 2 or 3 left. So if this is something that's up your alley, anniversary guitar or not, an all walnut Taylor sounds pretty good. So I'll bring it up so you can get a better look at it. I tried to show the cover, but it doesn't look like it focused well enough, and that's the hard part with just me here. I don't have someone to work the camera to focus on things. So come on in and check these out. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to have them just because they've been flying out the door. So 15th anniversary custom Taylor. Walnut. It's pretty phenomenal. All right. So we've already talked a little bit about JHS. We've gone over the Music Man Dark Rays, the Ball Family Reserve in Carina, and the Dark Ray, so with the dark glass electronics. And then we've also touched base on our new 15th anniversary Taylor Custom Shop Grand Auditorium. And all walnut. Phenomenal. Yeah, the burst on that looks really good too, actually. I don't know how I didn't talk about that. So now let's talk about that company I said that kind of was relaunched and given new life to the music industry. What I'm talking about is Ross Pedals. I thought that would be taller. Ross Pedals was originally started by a fella named Charles Ross. He went by Bud. And before he started making pedals and messing around with amps, he didn't know the difference between a diode or a capacitor. He didn't know. He just figured it all out. Where you might not be as familiar with Ross Pedals, you're probably familiar with his other brainchild of the music industry, custom amps. Not like custom built amps, but custom amps, like built with a K. The K-U-S-T, the ones that came in that big, the ones that used to come in that big plastic, sparkly exterior cover. They look like the winter jacket your friend had when you were in grade school. That kind of stuff. But Ross Pedals, everyone had one, kind of, so to speak. They were like today's like Boss or Electro Harmonix, Behringer pedals. Like everyone had one. Everyone was using one. They were pretty basic and simple. I mean, most pedals back then were. You didn't have MIDI-controlled pedals with 6 buttons and 40 knobs on them. I'm guilty. I own a couple of those. But what I'm saying is when it comes down to it, sometimes back to the basics is where you need to be. And this right here, we'll go ahead and open this one, is the Ross Fuzz. Oh, they still got some stickers on them. Let's the pocket knife, the trusty hand, the trusty friend of someone in music retail. So right away, ooh, this is cool. I like this. So right away, just from opening it, you have like your old school vintage style booklet that comes in there using old like photography from the original Ross Electronics warehouse and manufacturing. That's awesome. A Ross labeled warranty paperwork. Ross Electronics sticker. Ooh, I think there's a poster. Yeah. Old school style Ross poster. I'm not going to open it because I don't want it to turn one of those like folding map situations where you can't put it back together the right way. Oh, but there's company. Oh, that's cool. Inside the poster is the specs and breakdowns of all the different pedals. So that's pretty neat. I will say, because I owned one of those Lizard Queen, like the big Electro-Harmonic style ones that JHS made. They came in like the huge, like authentic style box. And when you open it up, it had like all this authentic-ish paperwork in it that looks like something that would have came out of like when you bought that pedal back then. And it was pretty cool. So I commend JHS for when they're recreating like these vintage style type things, they're kind of bringing you back to the moment and what it was like. Aside from like buying, a road worn guitar from any company that makes them and then it just looks road worn, but like JHS is taking that extra step of like, all right, well, let's give them what would have came with it when they bought it back then. So this is the fuzz pedal. Oh, there's a button down in the bottom of the box. So if you want a little button, go ahead and do that. So when I said these were like back to basics, I really mean these are like back to basics of how pedals work. There's no preset switch. There's no 4 knobs. There's no 2 buttons. There's no in and out stereo. Like, I mean, of course, it's a fuzz pedal, so that's not going to do that. But on the back, it gives you all the specs. So it tells you the input and output impedance, maximum output level, maximum available gain, power requirements. It also tells you, like, it tells you if you didn't know what level meant, if you didn't know what fuzz meant, it tells you. There is a side switch on here. So what that side switch does, you have 2 modes. One is vintage, one is modern. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but think like Boss Waza pedals if you're not familiar. It allows you to go back and forth between the tone of the two. The tone of the two. So you have your in and out jacks on the top, power on the top, and then you have your level and then your fuzz level. All right there. These pedals clock in right around 200. Average price for a pedal these days. Not bad. But yeah, phenomenal pedal here. I'm going to try and set this up either tomorrow or Saturday. I'm going to run it through that Vulture dying battery simulator pedal from JHS. And that should be pretty cool. But yeah, Ross pedals. They're all over the place right now, but we do have them here locally at Island Music if it's something you want to check out. That's all we've got for today. The dying battery Vulture pedal from JHS. The Music Man Dark Ray in Carina. The Taylor 15th Anniversary Island Music Grand Auditorium in all walnut. And then the new relaunch and kind of like revitalization of the Ross pedal line. Let's see what JHS does next. I'm sure there's another brand out there he's just dying to kind of bring back to life or just make another homage to. I mean, you have the Legends of Fuzz pedals, which does a great job on revisiting traditional circuits from 70s and 80s, from everywhere from the London built to Russian built to Japanese built. So phenomenal stuff coming out of JHS as they're kind of calling back to the greats that paved the way for what pedals are today. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Grab my keyboard here. Keep an eye out for some of the other things that we have coming up as far as events and whatnot that's going to be going on. Our summer camps are all wrapped up now for the summer. School season is upon us, so if you need to rent a trumpet or buy a clarinet or anything like that, now's the time, because in 2 weeks we're going to be slammed. So get in here between sometime this weekend and next weekend and beat the rush. You're going to be thankful you did. Yeah, so there we have it. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Jack. This is Island Music Company's Live at 5.